StereoKit is an open source mixed reality library for C# developers. It's really good for building applications and tools. Instead of focusing on the games and interactive media use case, it focuses on applications and productivity and things like that. So it focuses very much on like how do I do these real world problems that applications need to solve, like loading files from the file system using a built-in file picker makes it really easy. And in general, it just makes the mixed reality development experience much easier. So it is basically an entire engine of its own. It's an alternative to the other tools that are out there, but it is very specifically focused on mixed reality first. So all of the defaults are set up to work really well in mixed reality. All the graphics are tuned to work really well on mobile mixed reality headsets. And it's just a really good experience for those of you who are developing applications that are specifically for mixed reality. It's also a part of the C# ecosystem, just using the regular C# stuff. So nothing fancy or funky going on here. You can just work with NuGet and the latest and greatest .NET features. So it's really good for developers who are already in the .NET ecosystem and really want to make the most of it.
All right. Hello, good evening, good morning, well, whatever time zone you're in. Depends on that. But in the virtual world, well, let's say good day to you. So yeah, how to get the best out of AR, VR. There's the session we are at, and we're doing it manually, not in VR, not in AR, I guess. But well, some of you may have been watching this, might have been watching this on VR, YouTube VR maybe, or some other application. So yeah, if you are, well then, thumbs up to you. Well, who am I and what am I doing here? So yeah, I apparently wrote a book on game development because I have been at it with my studio Bachelor Interactive for the last 8 years now. And with that experience, I wrote a book during the pandemic. I mean, every one of us got some spare time in their life during the pandemic, and I kind of used it to write this, how to make a game, thanks to my publisher, which is a press from Springer Nature. So these guys really pushed me hard to write this. And yeah, as I was saying, the game dev studio that we have, it's called Bachelor Interactive, and also the newer studio that we recently formed out of Bachelor as a spin-off to work on indie games, on PC-based indie games, so which is called Sleepy Penguin Studios. And in Bachelor, we started as a game company, but we diversified ourselves into AR and VR, as you can guess, and also game development. We also went on building softwares and digital marketing tools and services as well. So we have about like 250 clients across the globe, and also in the local government and the military as well. So yeah. Now, before we move into the more serious stuff, let me talk about the most serious stuff. So I'm guessing if you are a VR enthusiast or an XR enthusiast, so you probably have come across this particular picture or experience or stuff, whatever you call it. So it's basically something that happened in the South Korea where uh, a woman wished to see or interact with her deceased daughter. Definitely, like all the other mothers out there, she used to love her daughter very much. And our technology, virtual reality, had the weirdest of response, you can say, because they actually, like 6 or 7 studios, they formed up a team, and they actually made a VR application where this mother could interact with her child. And it was very touching. I mean, it was very controversial too, because like the whole internet erupted after watching this video, and it got viral like right away. But there were different talks whether it should be different kind of talks. I mean, there are different kind of opinions whether it should be legal, this should be, this is good or this is bad, whatever. But well, I think at the end of the day, it comes down to the user. I mean, for whom the application was supposed to be made, and it was for that mother. And what matters most is how she felt about it. And well, she was deeply emotional. We could see like tears coming off from her eyes, and she was very emotional to interact with her daughter. And she actually said that whenever the girl was like a bit far away, she actually looked like, felt like her lost daughter. So you and me can argue all day long and think about whether this could be the future of us. I mean, us who try to cling to somebody whom we lost. So we spend all day or some portion of our day like logging into VR and thinking about them, talking to them, or interacting with the VR version of them. But this is not the today's topic, and this is not even why I'm showing this. I am showing this just to reiterate one major point, is that I do understand, and we all understand that whenever we are experiencing something in VR and we're sharing it with people, like whenever our whatever we're seeing, we're sharing the screen with everybody on live stream or on some TV or someone. So then we are sharing the audience party, right? And then we are also probably the audience. But we have to always remember that the primary user of VR is somebody who is experiencing it. So whatever the application is, you have to think about the user. It is the user who matters the most. With that message, let's dive into. Yeah, that message was very necessary. You will be able to connect it in the following parts of my presentation. So yeah, let's talk about those things. So, as we can all understand, as you all know, that XR, extended reality, has been a creative medium to deliver different sort of narratives. And the narrative that I started with was probably a very strong one, but well, XR has been used to deliver different sort of diversified narratives all around the world and across all the industries, as you can see. And if we are to talk about the current state of AR/VR industry in 2022 and who are making the most out of it and how to get the most out of it, you have to look into the industries, right? So if you look into this chart, this is from a source called Future of AR/VR. So they have actually cumulated all the percentile of usages on different industries in AR and VR. And as you can see, video games are, well, dominating the field. Well, that was expected. But apart from that, like if you can also look into the blue aspects of the chart, the blue colors, so you can see healthcare, engineering, real estate, retail, military, and also education having a very small pie, but it's on the pie. So it's a like $35 billion industry. Yeah, I know that the projection was for 2020 was much more higher 3 years ago, maybe, but well, it's still larger than many industries, many mainstream industries in the whole world. It's $35 billion, as you can see. For a technology that is not mainstream yet, for a technology that is not accessible to the mass people yet, for a technology that is not, again, that is not very cost friendly and very affordable to the mass people of the world across many regions. So that's no easy fit. I mean, imagine what might happen when technological advancement happens and it actually gets accessible across the whole world to all classes of people. I mean, this number is going to erupt. This has to. But for now, as you can see, yeah, that will be my cat. Sorry for that. Anyways, so apart from video games, which can be a bit serious at times, but at times we can just see you moving your head around, like dancing around with Beat Saber VR, maybe, which is so far I think still holding the number one position in VR games, maybe. But apart from that, we do have like other VR applications as well. I'm gonna touch them in a bit. And healthcare has been practicing it very seriously so far, and we have lots of promises and in the upcoming years as well. Yes, we can hear you. And as you can see, the market, it was supposed to be like much more bigger in 2022, but it's supposed to be bigger in even bigger in 2025 as expected. And need I remind you that the keynote from Facebook that happened in 2016 clearly states that they had this plan of like making AR and VR mainstream within the year 2025. And with the latest declaration of metaverse last year, I think this probability has already gone up. So yeah, and well, during the pandemic, well, I was writing my book, and many people, including me, for some time, well, actually, were depressed for a few months, thinking about what will happen, how to connect with all the people in the world, all the friends, and all, and whether it will be ever the same again. And we were pretty sad that we couldn't visit our friends in different countries. Well, VR actually came up with interesting solutions because it did give us platform to host live events, fashion shows, conferences like this, to entertainment events in VR, and people actually jumped onto this. I mean, the usage just went up all of a sudden as expected. So times like this actually showed us that sometimes you don't need to like get a business class ticket. You don't have to like toil a lot to save your money for a business class ticket to attend a conference. Sometimes you can just do it on your VR headset. So that's probably much easier and much straightforward, and you can still have similar experience at a much affordable rate, let's say, and also with much convenience as well. I mean, sometimes it's not even possible to travel abroad or in person to some place, and that's where I think VR can be very very handy. And whenever like if you consider the limitation that we have as a human being, even if I have endless money, let's say hypothetically, so I cannot like be present in like 180 countries in a year, right? Attending like 180 conferences, that's not realistic. But theoretically I can do it in VR. I mean, that's like 1 in 2 days. Like I can sit in my home and just do one conference per couple of days. I mean, that's possible, right? Just saying. And well, there have been some good newses that have been brimming up in the horizon. That we know that Unity is one of the most widely used game engines in the whole world, which is also used to make VR AR applications widely, and also in my firm as well. So Unity and Insomniac Events are partnering up to like fully immersify VR concerts and events, like making mainstream. So in here, like I'd like to share a personal experience. So many of you probably can connect with me. So when I was little and I went to my first concert, it was something like it was a local band, I guess, local rock band, and I was like, I'm a diehard fan of music. Like I hear music all the time in the road, whenever I'm working, and sometimes I used to like listen to music when I was reading as well. Don't tell this to anyone. Oh well, it's a live show, public show. Anyways, so wait. So after the show, so I felt like okay, concerts are amazing. They're the best thing that can happen to me. So like I was over the moon, and then I started wondering, okay, who else I want to see performing live in a concert. And one name came up on top because I was a teenager and I was like all of my friends out there. I was deep into Linkin Park back then. I'm talking about like somewhat around like 2010 or 2009, maybe 2008, maybe. after new divide came out, or like, I mean, we were listening to all of this hybrid theory, Meteora, and all the albums, and I was always wondering, when I have enough money, when I'm like grown up, when I'm in like 18 years old, and after that, when I have my own money, I'm gonna fly to the US or Europe, and I'm gonna see Chester perform. I'm gonna see him. I'm gonna listen to him while he sings. In the end, maybe. Well, what happened afterwards, everybody knows, right? Let's not recall that, but let's just say my one of my dreams in my life is not it's not coming true. I mean, it simply isn't. I'm not saying like that we can replace him over a VR concert, but probably couldn't, if we can like give a sort of realistic experience of him performing, maybe. I mean, I could still feel something about it. It will not fully replace him, of course. I mean, that is something else, but at least something. And I think that matters. I mean, that would matter to me. Uh-oh, okay. Yeah. Well, enough of the VR. Let's talk a bit about AR as well. So coming to a bit lighter topics, I guess. Let's say. In the recent past, I'd say the AR NFTs have got really popular thanks to the declaration of metaverse and all the activities regarding the NFTs, because and we have seen some of the most influential people of pop culture and related let's say related industry people coming into this direction, many influencers pushing this throughout the internet. And we have even seen I think very influential people pushing this over and over again, and different brands are also coming in. Different mainstream brands are making NFTs, and people are buying it, people are collecting it. So yeah, I think this age has already started, and maybe you also have got a few NFTs. And thanks to Shopify and few other platforms, we know that AR shopping is being pushed heavily. I mean, people are trying to make this technology more smooth. While you try out your jewelries, you try out your glasses, you even try out your teas on internet with AR. So, but I know that it started with very funky Instagram filters, maybe Snapchat filters or something else, but it has gone way above and beyond than that. And even if we talk about filters, I mean, I have seen kids interacting with their dads and their moms who lives in a different state, in a different country, using filters and having a very wholesome experience. So these AR filters may feel funky to you, to me, but they do have their own utility as well, and they're big. I mean, like, just recall a video conference that you had with your best buddies without having any filters the last time. I mean, whenever you are having fun. I mean, we always do that. We always fire breathe. We always have those poop filters and all. So yeah, they're fun, and they let you interact more meaningfully. They let you be more close to your buddies. I think that has to count for something. Yeah. And also the retail experience I was talking about, Shopify has been pushing for this recently, and also some other brands as well. So I think it's only a matter of time when it becomes like a mandatory feature on the e-commerces, the global e-commerces at least, and also the local e-commerces are also looking to, I think, adopt it. So just like we expect every detail of a product to be online when we're purchasing it, I think very soon we are going to expect an AR version of it when we are trying to purchase it at the same time. So yeah, in VR, well, I talked about the game industry a bit, and also we have to mention other industries like the training and the education. Brand promotion has been a big thing since the resurgence of VR and AR, and the conferences I mentioned, and the events, and also the healthcare too. So yeah, and let's talk about a few VR apps. Actually, let's mention a few. I think honorable mentions, like YouTube VR. Few of you, or some of you, maybe have been watching this on YouTube VR. Maybe, I hope. And apart from that, I mean, that's the most go-to application, I guess. Whenever I like open up a VR application, I try to see, okay, let's have some like let's watch some, sit back and relax and watch some YouTube VR. Other than that, well, ISS experience, well, it has been a very like popular and liked VR application for so long, I guess, since it came out. Same with within VR, and also we found out that Guardian VR is also like very popular among people in recent times, at least. And there's some other applications in VR too, like Dreams and Provata. So these actually let you like explore places or have a wholesome experience in VR that lets you feel peaceful, meaningful, maybe. So these have been like the highlights for in the recent times. And in terms of those are about like the B2C applications, I guess. And in the medical industry, um, well, it's one of the biggest, I dare say, because though in terms of number, it comes, I think, second or third to gaming and other things, but well, it has some meaningful, really meaningful applications. It has seen over the years, over the decades, I guess. And like this happened in 2016. Dr. Shafi Ahmed, who conducted the first VR surgery in 2016. So I was in a conference a couple of weeks back in Singapore. It was ISMAR, IEEE ISMAR. So when I was in ISMAR, so I was hearing to one of the keynotes when this researcher, so he was telling his story. So it was during one of the childbirths. I mean, his wife was giving birth to a child. So in the operation theater, or so he was saying the doctor like looking for a place to put the needle in, and he would just go around the belly of the mother, and he kind of felt one spot. I mean, there was no indication, there was no mark, no nothing. He kind of felt one spot, and all on a sudden, without any notice, he put the needle in. And the husband, the researcher, so he became shocked. I mean, what the hell? How did you know that? Where to put it? And he said, like, okay, this is experience. I just can feel it. So after seeing this, he became very alarmed. I mean, the surgery went well. I mean, the child is alive and the mom is alive. They have been living peacefully for years now, decades maybe. But that one thing actually pushed that professor a lot to work on VR. And he has been like one of the most contributing researchers on VR technology for over the years. And this particular story, I know that you find it inspiring, and this is real and this is true. So he kind of used VR. I mean, he helped develop the technology so that it can be used to help the doctors more. I mean, no disrespect to anyone, but humans can make mistakes. And sometimes when we're training humans as well, I mean, you could use a better tool. So it cannot be possible for a surgeon who is living in London to teach somebody in Jakarta, let's say, how to conduct a surgery, other than like just showing a video lecture or something. But these medical things, these medical education, these particular surgery elements, they need to be practical. So in the age of globalization, we simply cannot confine ourselves with our local doctors, with our local experts, when we can easily go global. So it's a global village. It's all a global village, right? So in VR, we can train the medical personnel more effectively, much more effectively. That's why the big and the heavyweight VR devices are mainly being used on the medical segments, and many countries, many doctors are using, many institutions are using them, the VR tech, to make training simulations to teach their younger doctors. And the healthcare market alone, it's supposed to reach, like in 5 years, it's about to be about $18 billion. It's alone, yeah, that big. And I think this number does not justify the impact it has, because this number doesn't tell you how many lives it's gonna save, but it's gonna, and it's gonna develop better doctors, and it's gonna help doctors even more. So it's gonna save lives, and that's, I think, we cannot express it in any numbers, in any slides. So that's invaluable. So like in terms of medical applications, so if we go a bit deeper, so we have like case simulations. We can plan different complex operations in VR to train, and also like We can do pain management. This is not for the doctors, this is for the patients. So we have like effective distraction in place in VR for pain management. Sometimes we can do physical therapy instructions on VR, and also the education. I mean, we have lots of experience, like examples on education VR in medical. Stanford's virtual heart is one, and many other. Like if you just search for any like probably progressive countries where adopting VR, you can probably find a medical applications on it. It's becoming that popular. Well, anyways, let's huddle around a bit again and talk about see from over the top once again. So I'm going to talk about the usage history of VR, because whenever we are using a new tech, we have to analyze how it's going, how it started, and where it's going to be. So if you want to understand the journey, you have to see, how it's going right from the beginning. So it kind of started with entertainment. I mean, if you remember the campaigns KFC or Coca-Cola used to do back in 2012, 2010, maybe 2014. Even in our country, what we did in 2015, maybe it was a like skydive VR application for a energy drink company. So those things started the usage, because it's easy to attract the eye. So whenever you're introducing a new tech, first of all, you need to create a buzz, and that's how it all starts. And it created the buzz. I mean, if you just remember what happened in those periods, and still now, till date, we have different applications in AR, VR for entertainment and gaming. And as we went on, we have seen VR and AR like coming into training, and then in fitness, we have seen the applications used in gym, and people are using VR applications while they're doing their like workouts at home. Even we've seen different pitches going on in VR. We have seen corporate meetings and different real estate pitches in VR as well. And these things have been going in circle and circle, and eventually, like when these things all together like chip in, if you can draw a full circle, you see that AR and VR is getting involved in most of the experiences, most of the activities that you do in life, from purchasing to to even earning, to even learning a new skill, all those things. So it's coming in full circle. So when it comes in a full circle, it usually like conquers everything. Like it becomes a part and parcel of your life, just like the smartphone. I mean, you cannot think your life without your smartphone right now, right? Can you? So it's a matter of time. AR and VR is reaching that dimension. So yeah. So when I say that, like, it's a big statement, right? So we have to talk about that. How exactly are we getting there? And so that's like we have to talk about the challenges that it is actually facing and solving. So yeah, first of all, I think the world is. I mean, if you consider the volume of it, the world is a big chunk of information. I mean, it's the biggest chunk of information that we can possibly see around us. Uh, like you can talk about the land areas, you can talk about the human numbers, the animals, the trees, maybe how many cubic meters of like waters you have. But information, like it surpasses all. It's we are all part of a gigantic information pool. But typically, they're all scattered. I mean, by default, they're scattered. So you kind of um, so when these are scattered and you are trying to focus on something, it's very difficult, right? And as a human being, we have like very short attention span and lack of interaction, I guess. So so these things need to be like put in together, one. And two, like due to the short attention that human beings have, so whenever you're trying to convey a message, you're trying to be empathetic towards me, so I have to remember that you have a short span and lack of interaction as well. So, and another thing is that is important. That is the brand positioning. So, um, branding is everywhere. Marketing is everywhere. I mean, commerce is everywhere, and so many people. I think the most of the people in this world work on like these kind of aspects, because otherwise, unless you can convince me to spend something on you or from you, I mean, the world cannot run. The global economy will collapse, and you will collapse. I will collapse. So it's important that we can sell stuff to each other, run the global economy, keep the cycle going. And that's why brand positioning is important. And in this competitive area, like it's very difficult to, stand apart, because I do have three or four favorite brands of, burger shops. So like it's very competitive. It's very competitive. So as a brand, you need to stand out. So these particular problems has been attacked by VR because have been attacked by VR because in terms of brand positioning, what better tool is out there than to use VR to just like put you in a world that I design? I mean, you cannot think of another world, another way of doing this other than VR. Like if you want to put somebody in your world, and you can do that in VR, you can make your own world and put people in it and put your branding in it, and that is supposed to be the most effective. And in terms of short attention span and scattered information, I guess we all know that it can solve those things. Yeah, if we dive a bit deeper and talk about how exactly are these things happening, we can see that in terms of numbers, the VR education is going to be very big within a few years, and people are if we talk about a few user studies or case studies we had in Bangladesh. So we have this outreach program we have been doing since 2015 throughout Bangladesh, which is called Battery Low AR VR Outreach. So where we take the AR VR applications to like young kids out there, school and college kids mainly, and they play like VR based educational games and like different experiences in VR. And most of the kids out there, they experience VR for the first time through us, and we become the only way they can experience VR. So they kind of love it, and we try to teach them new things, and they are hooked to the technology. So that and they try to, if they when they grow up, they try to kind of move into this industry or be a creative person or something like that. I mean, we have seen a few people coming out of those outreach to work for us, to work for many other companies in different segments and creating a difference. So yeah, this program is like one of our flagship programs. And also it can individually, like it can help children with learning difficulties. I mean, this is just another kid like experiencing our VR application there in this picture. And this was the outreach program I told you about. I think we cannot play the video here. There's a video, you can check it out on our YouTube channel actually. It's called Battery Low AR VR Outreach, the video. Okay, let's talk about brand promotions a bit. So yeah, as I was saying, like it's getting very difficult to stand out in the crowd, to be the colorful guy while all others are gray. I mean, to make your user perceive this. So you have to position your brand, and you have to make it cost effective at the same time, because you have a limited marketing budget and you have to make the most out of it with whatever you have. So VR AR is probably the best way to go forward, because we've seen the most powerful brands with like most renowned brands in terms of branding and marketing use this as a tool. Like as I mentioned, KFC, Coke, they always they always go back to VR and AR and those immersive experiences. And in Bangladesh too, and in any other country, in many other countries, like we have done like these things in brand positioning with different platforms like edtech promotion, like brand activation for different FMCG products like juices, energy drinks, like different drinks. We did work for KFC too, like made a AR experience with the dragons when it was very popular, thanks to Daenerys Targaryen, well, Daenerys Stormborn, first of her name, in Game of Thrones. We made like cricket. T20 World Cup is going on. We made cricket VR and put some brands into it as well. Brands use their logos and their color palettes. They are brand ambassadors inside those VR games. And whenever you're playing it in VR or AR, you're interacting it more closely than traditional games. And so whenever you are encountering a brand there, it stays longer in your mind, and it has a deeper root than any other application, any other meaning. In terms of training, it has been very effective for us, I'd say, because manual training is time consuming, as you all know, and it requires resources, and most of the time you cannot reuse the resources, so it becomes less cost effective. But with all that, like we have been solving these issues with our VR and AR training simulations, like fire simulation training. When a big fire happened in our capital, so people became aware of it. Then we made one fire safety training, and our big corporations took it as a safety protocol for their employees to teach them how to tackle fire in their own building, like through a VR application, because you cannot put your building on fire to teach them, right? But you can do it on VR, and we did that. Yeah, and like to teach different people like to do different tasks like welding. We've made like car simulation, driving simulation as well. So those kind of things. We also work for the military as well, and on different cases where they're training their people to make like traffic control simulation, crime investigation simulation, and those kind of things. And we all know that the Unity just got a deal with the US military, like a few $100 million maybe. So it is going to be used more extensively for the training of the military personnel across the globe, not only for the US military. And in Bangladesh, let's say, from our experience, we have seen the trainees remember the VR experience for a longer time, and they tend to be more effective. They learn better. And for the trainers as well, so it has been the more productive tool going forward, because they can kind of customize the whole experience for their trainees. They can mix it up, they can store it digitally. I mean, the benefits are simply endless. So in terms of training, like I don't think like VR is going away anytime soon. Like it's going to stay for a long time, and it's going to create waves, if not already. And one thing that I wanted to mention, that is about the development of these VR applications while we were making them. In my experience, but in our experiences, we have found out that it's always better to engage with the end user from the first. I mean, whoever will be using your product, because whatever you're designing, whether it's a training program, whether it's entertainment stuff or whatever, so at the end of the day, the end user will matter the most. That's what I've been trying to tell you from that spooky slide from the South Korean VR application, right? So um, always focus on the end user. I mean, talk to them from the beginning. Don't talk to them after you make your alpha release, maybe, because sometimes they're gonna say, "Okay, this is cool, this is nice, but you know what? I expected it to be something else, maybe." I mean, that's a very common scenario if you don't talk to them at first. And oftentimes, whenever you are doing, since most of the works of VR right now is in B2B, so you're probably talking with somebody from another organization while you are making it, whether it's a collaboration project, whether it's a joint, whether it's you're working for hire or you were working for him, you are pursuing a project like this, whatever it is. But you are serving purpose for some people and for some organization, and these organizations, they have hierarchy as well. So probably you are working with the procurement department, or probably you are working with the brand department, or probably you are working with the development department, let's say. But who are the users? Will they be using the product? If yes, then cool. But if not, then ask them to introduce the end users to you, with you, whenever you are in the development cycle in the beginning. So then you can talk to them from the beginning. Otherwise, if you make the application according to their demand or their guideline, oftentimes you can find out that whenever you meet the end users with the first version of your product, they're just going to say, "This is cool, but you know what, like this is not proper." I mean, like, try to avoid this at all costs, because oftentimes it will require you to kind of piggyback and do the same thing all over again. So try to avoid that. And also try to assemble the people who knows the know-hows. I mean, uh, you can be the development experts in AR VR, but when we might not be the subject experts per se. So whenever we are designing the fire VR application, we talk to actually the fire safety guys who knows the rules, and be ready to, like, accept their suggestions, and also like make provision for changes. I mean, even if you take precautions that I have mentioned, but changes might come. So make your program, make your codes as modular as possible, and also maintain specific workflow, like who does what and when. And also documentation is very important. It's easy to like get lost in it, and monitor, because as it's as like, even if I keep telling that you have to keep provisions for changes, but it's probably wiser to have less iterations, less scopes of iterations. So yeah, ARV industry is probably not there yet, but well, as we go on with our civilization, I mean, it's going to be there. It's only a matter of time. So yeah, that's it. I think the time's up. So I'm gonna stop actually for the questions if you have any. But yeah, feel free to keep in touch. I'm particularly more available on LinkedIn here, but I'm also on Facebook and Twitter as well. And you have my number on WhatsApp there as well. If you want to shoot me any questions directly, or hit me up on Discord, just hit me up on Discord. I think they have a speaker channel there. I'm ready to answer your questions, I guess. Yeah. Thank you, Saskia, if you're still there.
Awesome. I am. Thank you so much, Minash. That was a great talk. And you're right, we are out of time. But I do encourage everyone to, contact you and go to Discord and ask your questions there on our channel. Again, thank you so much. It was a great talk. And well, hopefully see you on Discord.
Yeah, okay. Sure. See you there.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.